Hello everybody and welcome to Taff's Word. This is a Taff's Word on football this time, and it's regarding what they're doing about this season in light of the recent COVID-19 pandemic. Well, if you watch this channel often, I've raised this point on numerous streams and other videos and things like that. I haven't dedicated an entire video to it yet, but what you'd have heard from me is I'm very much in the camp of not voiding the season, not cancelling it, and just restarting it when we're ready. So I want to keep the season going. I've basically made the point that I'd rather prioritise a season that's 3/4 of the way through than a season that's not even played a single game yet, not even kicked the ball yet. So why should we be making way for a fresh season where nothing has happened in it? But then we're supposed to erase all that football that's been played. Now, I'm really staggered that there's actually countries in Europe that are actually doing that within their football. I think it's mental. I think it's stupid, even. I can't understand why you'd want to kill off and erase nearly an entire season of football that's been played just to make way for something new. I mean, killing the season doesn't do anything for the clubs that are being affected by the pandemic at the moment, because there is a financial issue at the moment with football clubs, especially down in the lower leagues, of course, where they haven't got millions in reserve like the Premier League teams and your bigger Championship teams. But it's clear to see that those who want to avoid the season are either supporters of or part of a club that's either underachieving or about to potentially get relegated. So Karen Brady came out with it right from the beginning that we should just cancel and void the season and start again next year. No. It's because she's part of West Ham, and West Ham could go down, especially if you see the fixtures that they got left. Piers Morgan is someone that's trying to make out. Were they actually making a case, just stating that this is the only fair way to do it? So, no, sorry, 3/4 of a season have been played and you're talking about fair. It's no surprise he's an Arsenal fan, and again, they've underachieved this season. Every Arsenal fan out there is going to want a fresh start to the season. And then the rest of them, we're talking about the Liverpool haters, the Leeds haters out there that don't want to see them successful. Liverpool are about to win their first Premier League title in 30 years. And there's people out there with an agenda against Liverpool. Man United fans are probably the worst out of all of these, to be honest with you. They get equal joy if double joy is the right way of putting it, if the season is cancelled and voided. Because Liverpool will lose their title and Leeds won't get promoted. So that's two rivals of Man United. Another one as well is Man City. If their ban for the Champions League is upheld, then they don't play Champions League next season. They got a 2-season ban if it's upheld. So their chances of potentially winning the Champions League this season is gone. So it's triple joy if you're a Man United fan if the season gets voided, because again, they were underachieving. So teams that are underachieving or about to get relegated, or a hatred towards a club that's about to achieve something. Everyone else, I'm a Newport County supporter, and although we're mid-table in League 2, it's a quite insignificant place within the league. Compared to last year when we made the playoff final, that was great, of course. But for me, as a proper football fan, I don't do it from my armchair. I follow Newport all up and down the country. I go to all the home games. I'm there for the majority of games every season, and I have been for the last decade. And for me, I don't like the thought of all that football that I've travelled to, paid for, made the effort for. I don't like the thought of all that being erased. My effort for the season. I mean, it's kind of like a lifestyle, but you put the effort in to support your team the way that I do, and people like me do. And I don't like the thought of all of that football that I've travelled to, that I've stood on cold terraces all season for, that I've bought my half-time draw ticket, bought my pie or whatever in the ground and stuff like that. I don't want all that to just go. I don't want all that to just be erased for 3/4 of a whole season. Now, if it was halfway through, maybe it'd be different. If it was less than halfway through, I'd definitely be on the cancel and voiding side. If this kicked off in October, November time, then yes, I'm completely down with voiding the season off, because it's barely got going. really. And, you know, there was no... How can I even put it? If a season's barely got going, then yeah. But it's 3/4 of the fucking way through. And people want all of that football to just be erased. And who knows what kind of problems that will then arise. I mean, if you look at it now, an entire season of football erased, how many people out there paid for tickets, and season tickets even, for that season? If all that's erased, then their season ticket, that especially in the Premier League, we're paying £800 to £1,000 or plus, you know, in some grounds like Arsenal, for example. Can you imagine paying all that money and you've literally given that money away for nothing? All these players, as much as the amount of money that they make is great for them, you know, they're competitive people. Are they happy for the wins and their goals and, you know, players who are doing well this season? You know, are they happy for all of their statistics to just disappear? Because if you're voiding the season, you can't keep the statistics. You can't have it two ways. If you're voiding the season, you're wiping everything that's happened. You're effectively erasing it. Who wants that, really? You know, if you take away your bias towards other clubs, or you take away the fact that your club might go down, or your club's underachieving, you know, who really wants all of that football to just be erased from history? That's the only way it can really be done. So yeah, so what I'm saying is I want to extend the season. I want to put a pin in it, wait until it's safe. Obviously, there's people out there being paid a damn sight more money than I am to make decisions on behalf of football, what I think are not really doing enough at the moment. They're not doing enough to prevent these kind of, you know, public debates from happening. I think they should be a bit more clear and precise and a bit more decisive about how they want to actually do things. And I think a clear message to say, we're not playing football until it's safe to do so, but we are not voiding the season, and that's not changing at all. I know there's a money issue, you know, for the Premier League, but they've got to get over themselves on that. It's not as if they're short of cash at the moment. It's not as if they'll be short of cash when they are able to resume football. But loss of revenue is a bit of an issue. And what I've got here is that I think the FAs, you know, like EFL, the Premier League, Scottish FA, and all the other FAs across Europe and the rest of the world have got to step up and find a way of subsidising clubs so they don't go bust, because that will be a tragedy in its own if clubs go bust over something that they got no control over. I mean, you look at Bury, they went bust because they were owned by numpties, didn't know how to run a football club, and wouldn't back their mistakes up with their own cash, which they should have done. They'd rather let that football club die than actually, you know, put their money where their mouths were. Unfortunately, that's the position they were in, but this is a position that's been forced upon clubs. So I think individually clubs, especially down in the lower leagues, can appeal to supporters. I personally would happily, once a week, pay my ticket money to Newport County. Other people, I'd imagine, would do that. I'd rather pay my ticket money for a game I'm not going to than lose my football club. It's pretty simple. There's also the potential for, you know, paid content online. People, because no, I can't go to football and spend my money. So why not bump if you're making donations to your club? Why not bump that up? You know, the smaller clubs like Newport and down in the non-league and all that, I think, you know, fans should be stepping up to protect their clubs, because no one wants to see their club die. And I believe in the lower leagues, players should be allowed to be on furlough, but players in the Premier League, you know, big buck players, should be taking pay cuts. They should be accepting pay cuts, because at the moment, you know, they're going to bleed their clubs dry because there's no solid income coming in, and all that money's got to go out. If they take a pay cut, that outgoing thinnens. So you know, it's not quite so bad for them. One of the issues is obviously players' contracts are ending at the end of June, start of July. What I think is that there should be some kind of football league policy, whether it's a UEFA or FIFA policy, to say that for any FAs extending extending their season, what they need to do is give an automatic 6 or 12 months, depending on how long we got an automatic extension on every player's contract. That's an enforced thing. I don't know how that would work. You know, I don't understand the business of football well enough to know whether that is something that can be done. But if owners take a vote on it, maybe that's a way of getting that done. So player contracts can be extended beyond. Player transfers that have been pre-done can happen, I would say. But then, you know, I think that's just clearing up one of the concerns that people may have. And then, of course, is the safety apps aspect. Now, I pretty much got this. I don't need a brief sheet to go through this. So, basically, if they want to restart football and it's not safe to do so in front of a crowd, you do it behind closed doors. I'd rather have it behind closed doors than have a season cancelled. And I'd rather have it behind closed doors and be able to watch it on the TV. At least if it's on the TV, there's going to be a financial gain to be made there. Maybe not as much as a full stadium, but it'll be something. And if the players have agreed to take their pay cut, then maybe, you know, that'll even it out somewhat. But if they have to play it behind closed doors, obviously players are worried about their safety with, you know, playing staff and non-playing staff that are involved with the team, potentially having it. What I think is eligibility for all to be there can only really be done with a recent negative COVID-19 test. I think they got to be tested, and then if they're negative, they're eligible to play. If they're not negative, then they're not. As simple as that. I mean, just make sure that they got that, and then when they're entering the stadium, they have the temperatures taken. You know, they have you know, sort of sanitising policies and things like that, just to be on the safe side then. And I'm sure as long as everybody's clean when they're out there, you know, you're not just going to magic COVID-19 out of the air. You know, someone's got to have it for it to be passed on. And if everybody is clear that everybody going out there to play doesn't have it, then there's no problem. So that's the way you clear up the safety aspect of it all. So for me, like I said, the only people wanting the season to be voided are people who are fans of or involved with clubs that are underachieving, or a hatred for clubs that are achieving. It's pure and simple. So my take on it is pretty clear. You cannot void that season. The one thing I haven't brought up is the fact that there could be lawsuits thrown down at the FA from clubs who can claim potential loss of revenue. Starting from the Premier League, anyone with a chance of getting at the Champions League, there's a huge loss of revenue there, potentially. Sheffield United, Leicester, for example. You look down at the Championship, any of them that can get promoted to the Premier League, Leeds, West Brom will be the first two through the door with that. And then anyone with a shot at getting in the Championship playoffs. You know, we'll see. We got a shot again at the Premier League here, you've taken that from us, that's potential loss of revenue, bang. Now, I don't know how the law works with that, whether that can happen, but I can't see any reason why it shouldn't be able to be. And then you can say the same for, I like the tweets of Darryl McAnthony, chairman of Peterborough. I mean, Peterborough have got a real shot at promotion to the Championship, and I know that's one thing they've been gunning for a while. I mean, there's potential loss of revenue if the season's voided and they've got to stay in League One. Bang. You know, I'd imagine if there is basis to do it, Darryl will be straight to the FA. Bang, there you go, lawsuit. You know, this is the amount of money that we could have got from getting to the Championship. You voided the football season. You know, it's pretty simple, really. It don't stand well with me at all, erasing all that football. It don't stand well with me at all that teams who've played out 3/4 of the season, worked so hard all season to get to a good position, will miss out on reaping the rewards for the hard work they've put in. That don't sit well with me either at all. So there's only one way about it now. You've got to wait until it's safe to do so, but you've got to restart this current season. There's no other way about it. There's too much football been played to just throw it all away. Thanks for watching. This was Taff's Word. Any comments that you've got on this, I'd love to hear them. Leave them in the comment section below. Give us a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course share this video around. You know, get people talking about it, because at the end of the day, if people agree with what I'm saying, then hopefully it may make some kind of difference to making sure we can preserve, you know, the current football season. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Cheers for now, and as always, up the county. Many thanks for watching the latest content on the Amber Army channel. Please make sure you leave us a like. Make sure you subscribe for more content, both for the neutral football fan and also plenty of Newport County. Even more Newport County content can be found on the club's iFollow channel on the link above. It is just £4.49 per month to subscribe to that service. And those of you feeling extra generous can also support us on Patreon on the link at the bottom there. That would be a monthly donation of your choice. Thank you again, make sure you've subscribed, and as always, up the county.